We're on the road. Where transportation goes, community grows. Welcome to On the Road with the MTA. And welcome to another edition of On the Road with the MTA. I'm Jay Gibbons alongside with Stephanie Kay from the MTA, who's sitting right there.
I am. I'm right here. And hey, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I'm going to say that until January is over because the whole month of January is a whole
I
new
probably
year.
will be saying that at the end of February because,
Yes.
I'm a little slow.
Well, sure. Have good things happened for you so far?
Yes, so
Feels
far.
like a lucky year?
It feels like a really good year, yeah.
Good. I think mine too. Well, good. Let's hope so. There's a lot of other great things happening out there. And I have to say, I'm really excited about the guest that we have today because she's been a friend of mine for years. And she has done murder mysteries with us. And anywhere I go, they say, if they mention her name, they'll say, oh, she reminds me so much of you. Because I just think, I know, this is a compliment to me. Because this friend of mine has the best attitude, and she's spiritual, and she's funny, and she's amazing. And even when I took my mom to the Carmonas Cancer Institute, I met the most interesting people that were sitting there that had cancer themselves. And when I mentioned the hospitality house, the McLaren Hospitality House next door, they all said, oh my gosh, I know Teresa Williams. She's wonderful. She's the one I'm talking about. She is the director of the hospitality services at the McLaren Hospitality House. They do so much, Jay. I can't even begin to tell you, but we have Teresa Williams here to tell us more about that. Teresa, welcome and thanks for being here.
Hi, Steph. How are you?
I am well.
Awesome introduction. My gosh, I'm not sure if I can live up to all that. I always feel honored when people say that I remind them of you because I think you're one of the most awesome people out there. So thank you.
Aww.
Have people actually told you that?
Yes, they have.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny.
We were at our Rotary Club and different events. They're like, you guys act like sisters.
I love that. Well, You do have the best attitude and you help so many people. And that's what I love about you is you have a godlike heart and you really love helping people. And that's why your job as a director of the hospitality services at the McLaren Hospitality House is perfect for you.
Well, thank you. I always say this, my boss gets tired of hearing me say it, is that I truly feel like I have the best job on the face of the earth because really I get to help people every single day in amazing ways and they pay me to do it. So it's kind of cool.
Bonus.
I love coming to work every day.
Well, I do know a little bit about it, but I don't know everything about it because I know that the hospitality house will bring people in that might be getting their treatments at the Carmona Center next door. They can come and stay at the hospitality house, and it's a beautiful facility. It's almost like a 5-star hotel. It's just
really?
gorgeous when you walk in. And you have activities there. So does that cost people money when they want to stay there if they're getting treatment?
Well, so yes and no, Steph. That's one of the things that I think I am most proud of when it comes to what McLaren does for our community is that a lot of people come to have the proton therapy, like you mentioned, at Carmenas. And when they do, the treatment itself is an outpatient treatment. So they don't have to stay in the hospital. So really, they're over at the cancer center for about an hour a day. But because we're one of only 2 centers like this in the state of Michigan, people travel from all over the state to come to have this particular service. So it's kind of cool that right here in our own backyard, we have this available. And we always say it's not like it's a cure-all to cancer. It's just a great tool in the toolbox against fighting cancer. So we have people that come all the time from up north or remote areas like the Thumb and things like that where they just don't have these services available. So they can come and receive the treatment and then they have a place to stay while they're doing these. And they give the treatments in fractions very similarly to how they do both chemotherapy and traditional radiation, where you're getting a little bit every day for several weeks. And in the case of proton therapy, it's usually anywhere from 7 to 9 weeks.
We are so fortunate because I was told there's only 2 in the whole state of Michigan. And we happen to have a proton treatment right here in Flint, Michigan, which my mother had taken. And it did incredible good for her. So we are just so lucky to have that and lucky to have you right there next door to take people in.
Why, thank you. Well, and that is a really big part of what we do here is taking care of those cancer patients and their families because they usually travel with a support person. But then in addition to that, Stephanie, one of the things that's really great about the hospitality house and just McLaren in general is that when somebody comes to our hospital, and let's just say that maybe a parent has a stroke or something and they live in the area, but they have children that may have moved away or out of the area. And as long as they live greater than 45 minutes from the hospital, they can stay in our hospitality house. So we're really similar to like the Ronald McDonald House. The major difference is that we don't really treat a lot of pediatric patients here, but we do have a lot of families who unfortunately their loved one has suffered a stroke or a heart attack or some type of incident where in most cases their life is really in jeopardy. So we always say McLaren, the hospital, takes great care of the patients, and we know from a clinical perspective they get great care there. It's really, we take care of their loved ones so that they can help take care of their family members a little better. So they get to stay here. And like you said, Steph, we're very proud of our facility, and it really is like a 5-star resort here. We're just missing the swimming pool, that's all.
Well, I have been honored to be able to host the Ladies' Night In that you have there each year as a fundraiser, and that is so much fun, and I can't believe what all you fit in one night for these ladies. There were pedicures and manicures and card reading and a fashion show and prizes galore and like a little cash booth they could catch money, and the prizes were amazing. Are you doing that again this year?
We are. Thanks for asking. So because of COVID, of course, we had to take a little pause because we do have families and in some cases patients here at the house. But it was an event that was started right here. And the whole purpose of this event is to A, pamper women, including some of our guests that might be staying here. But B, it's really to raise funds for our Nights of Hope, which is a really cool fund. So you had asked me before, Stephanie, whether people had to pay to stay here. Mm-hmm. Well, that's the really cool thing about the hospitality house and about McLaren is that we never turn away a person based on their ability to pay. So when they show up on our doorstep, we don't ask them to pay a fee, so to speak, to stay here. There is a suggested donation because, of course, that helps pay it forward for another family, but they're never demanded to pay a fee. So sometimes we have families that are here, especially their loved one had a stroke or even the proton therapy. They might be here for weeks at a time. And just remember, just because you're suffering a medical emergency doesn't mean that the bills at home stop coming in. So we ask them to pay what they can, and whatever they can't pay, we make it up with our Nights of Hope fund. So for example, if we have a guest that stays here for proton therapy, the suggested donation is $35 a night. Well, maybe they can only pay $5 a night or $10 a night. Whatever that shortfall is after their stay is complete, we make up for that with the Nights of Hope fund. And this event is really the main event that really supports that fund. So last year, we needed about almost $40,000 to support the families in what they could not pay to stay here at the house.
It's so cool that you do that, and you found a fun way in which to raise those funds, too, because I know hosting it, I saw what you did with all that evening, and now I want to come and just be able to enjoy it sometime. So how much are the tickets if somebody wants to come in and actually take part of that evening?
Yeah, so the tickets for people to come, and again, it is a girls' night only event, so sorry, guys.
Darn, I was going to dress up as a lady, and I thought that was going to get me in the door.
Well, you can come and provide a service if you want, Jay. If you want to come and do pedicures or something like that, we'll have you.
You could valet park for us.
Oh, okay. I could do that.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
So the tickets are $60 a person, and the neat thing about that is that includes a lot. So it includes their entrance and all the prizes that you mentioned, Steph. But in addition to that, there's also food available all night. There's a full dinner and snacks and all of that sort of stuff. There's always a fashion show. So Macy's has been a partner with us, and they do the fashion show, which is really awesome. And then in addition to that, we do have some special beverages, usually a themed beverage. And we just, again, they get to select 2 different services at minimum that they get to have performed. So it might be a manicure and a pedicure. It might be, they might decide that they wanted to go do an art class, like that sip and paint kind of artsy class with their friend. Or they might get a massage, or they might get their lashes done. It's just really neat things that we would pay a heck of a lot more than $60 for 2 services to get done that night.
And it's going to such a great cause, knowing you're helping people. $35 an evening to stay there at that beautiful place is nothing. But if they can't afford it, you have funds for them. I think that's just tremendous.
Absolutely. And it really is fun. And I will tell you this, the coolest thing about it, Steph, is that we have people that have repeatedly come back every year that do services for us, like the manicures and pedicures. Pure Bliss Salon is one of them. We've had the La Vida massage and other places. And when they come in, they donate their time. So we don't have to pay for their time or for their services. So that just means that all those funds that we raise go immediately to our families. We don't have a huge overhead that comes out of that. So that's what I think is one of the neatest things about this event.
That is. I'm going to mark my calendar. What day is this?
It is Friday, April 14th.
Okay.
And it is right here at the Hospitality House. And it's also the one night a year that people can actually stay at the house if they'd like to without having to have a loved one in the hospital or anything like that. So it does cost a little bit extra to actually stay at the house. But most of the people come for the party and have a great evening with girlfriends and things of that nature. And they find some fun stuff to buy from Macy's too. So it really is. Every year we hear the same thing. When are you guys going to do this again? And people want us to do it a couple times a year, but it's a lot of work and it's a lot of fun. So we look forward to it every year.
But you can't just stay just so somebody's listening right now and they think, oh, I'm going to go. We're going to have a few drinks. We're going to be eating. I'll just get a room there that night for $35. They cannot do that. This is just for people in need that need the place when they're going through cancer treatments.
Correct.
Right? Okay. Just want to clarify that.
Yes. Yes, thank you for saying that. That truly is for people who are going to be here for an extended period of time.
Sure.
So you can't actually come to our house and show up at our doorstep and say, hey, I want to rent a room for the night.
Sure.
Because we're not a competitor, nor do we want to be for local hotels. We really like to support them. And if family members come in and they have a large family, like more than 2 guest rooms, we do refer them to our local hotels. That's not our purpose. Our purpose is really to take care of those family members whose loved ones are in the hospital so they can be nice and close. And then one of the neat things is we also offer transportation services. Even though we're located right on the same campus, it's a little bit of a walk to go over to the hospital from our place. Cancer Center is right next door, but the hospital is a little bit of a jog. So we offer 24/7 transportation all around our campus. So that's pretty neat as well.
That is very thoughtful because, yes, if you've just come out of treatment, you're tired. You don't want to walk even a little bit sometimes. You just need that extra ride. So that was wonderful you guys do that. I didn't realize that. I know MTA has supported you many times in the past. And I know you said there's other sponsorships available for this event. How can they find out more about buying tickets or sponsoring or doing something, maybe volunteer if they do services like nails? How can they get a hold of you to find out more information?
That would be amazing. Thank you so much for mentioning that. So the best way to reach out is for them to email me directly. And my email address is just my first and last name. So it's Teresa, Teresa .Williams, spelled WILLIAMS, at McLaren.org. And McLaren is McLaren.org. That's the best way for them to get more information. I've got great flyers and more information about the services that we offer, the ones that we're looking for, and also the sponsorships. Our sponsorships start as little as $500, and $500 can help many families. If you think about that, $35 a night. Last year alone, we paid for about 4,000 room nights overall for guest rooms over the years. So
that's awesome. And you know what? I know you've seen heartwarming stories and heartbreaking stories. I was with my mother when she was getting treatment. I think I pronounced Carmonas wrong. You said it's Carmanis?
Carmanis, that's correct.
I've always said Carmonas. Okay. Thank you for correcting me, Carmanis, now that I know it's correct. I was wrong the whole time. But I met the most interesting people that they themselves had cancer. They're going through the treatments, but they all had the best attitude. The one lady I met, every day she had a different story, that her brother had been dyslexic when he was a child, and he was told, sorry, you're never going to learn anything. You're never going to be able to account to anything. And they told his parents this, years ago. And he decided he always liked Britain. So he moved to London and he wanted to work at the palace. But they said, sorry, you have to be, you can't be American. You have to be, live here in London. So he got a dual citizenship and he is working there now. He's in charge of delegating all the things in the museums. And he's also liaison for the royal castle over there. So he met the Queen and she had said to him before she passed away, of course, that when he shared with her that his mother was also 93, like my mom is, she leaned in and she changed her whole demeanor and she said, son, tell your mother to exercise every day. That is the best she can do to keep herself going. Isn't that wonderful?
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
How neat is that?
I know.
That's awesome.
There was also a story. She was walking down with her, whoever takes care of her, she has a right-hand man there. And they came across some people that said, hey, I heard the Queen lives around here. And is that true? And she said, yes, I've heard the same thing. And they said, have you ever met her? She said, well, I've heard of her, yes. And then they said, hey, would you mind taking our pictures? So the Queen took their pictures. So, when they got back home, they're like, hey, that's the Queen that took our picture. Because she said,
my gosh.
Let's take one of all of us. So, yeah, when they got home, they're going to love that.
That's so neat.
And I would have never known that story had I not sat and talked to these people that were in that treatment themselves. And there was also a woman that we have on our podcast. If you want to go back in the archives, she was one of the very first African-American females to be in charge of a military project. Remember that one, Jay?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, and that was very interesting. I would have never known that about her had I not met her. So, Teresa, I know you have amazing stories. Do you have anything you want to share with us that might be extremely heartwarming for you?
Well, I wanted to say, Steph, as you were describing that, you just described one of the things that's most important about our hospitality house. It's that community that's created here, because oftentimes we will have families that are both here for the same reasons. Maybe their loved one had a stroke, and those people do tend to be here for a little bit lengthy of times, and they develop these friendships and these support systems amongst each other. And the next thing you know, they'll be downstairs making meals together, or just hanging out and, doing a puzzle together or something like that to take their mind off of their issues and sharing that. And we all know that just by sharing, sometimes that just is therapeutic for our families in general. So there's thousands of them. But I will tell you, Steph, some of the things that really just warm my heart is we had a family that was here about 4 months ago. And it was a wife that her husband very unexpectedly had a stroke. He was very vibrant, really active gentleman. He had a stroke, and unfortunately they were traveling and they ended up at McLaren. And so she ended up staying here. But prior to finding out about the hospitality house, she was staying at one of our local hotels. And one of our nurses actually had been taking her back and forth and kept encouraging her to come to the hospitality house. But she didn't know what to expect, and she was comfortable at our hotel. Well, once that lady and her daughter left here, they designated the hospitality house as a location for all of their family and friends to make donations to, because they happened to be a family that had much. And because of the care that they received, both at the hospital and at the hospitality house, they were so moved they wanted to pay it forward for other families who may not be in the same situation that they were in. But this family, when I came in, because it happened over a weekend, I was just devastated for them, because I'd heard so many wonderful things about the husband and, what he had done and his accomplishments. And the family was just, they were gushing. They couldn't say enough nice things about McLaren and the hospitality house. Whereas I thought they were, I was going to come in and they were going to be extremely sad and heartbroken, which they were, but they were just so gracious. I loved their hearts and how they were so willing to share their hearts, even after they were going through probably one of the most, difficult times of their lives. So we see those every day, honestly, Stephanie, and that's the thing that I feel honored about working here, is because oftentimes these families, when they come in, they're by themselves. They might get here at 3:00 in the morning, and we immediately become their family and their community. And it's not unusual for us to have a family member at our front desk that just doesn't know what to do, and they break down in tears, and they're just looking for us just to support them and just to put our arms around them and say, you know what, we're going to be here for you. Because at that point, of course, obviously we don't know that it's going to be okay. And sometimes it's not, but we immediately get to become a part of their family. And quite frankly, that's what I love most about my job.
Well, you are the best at that. I mean, I'm so grateful that you are there in place and the hospitality house is there for people in need. I know you yourself have experienced pretty much the same thing yourself, and yet you still had such a huge face and just such a positive attitude. And so I think you have that empathy for people. You understand what they're going through, and you make it even more comfortable for them.
Absolutely. And that is the unfortunate part about cancer, is that it affects all of us. I mean, in some way, shape, or form. I think it'd be difficult for you to find somebody who couldn't say that cancer has affected them in some way, shape, or form.
Sure.
And it really is amazing to have the tools that we have, including just the emotional support for families. And like I said, I feel like the hospitality house is one of the best things that McLaren's ever done.
Well, I do too. I do too. And I cannot wait to be there, part of the Ladies Night In. And I know the MTA has supported you in the past, like I said, and if they support you this year, I'll be there either way. So I definitely want to be there. And if other people want to, give us that email one more time if they want to do any kind of, like maybe Jay wants to go out there and do a valet party for us, Jay. Or buy tickets or sponsor.
Help us with valet, Jay, so we would love to take you. But so it's my email address, and it's teresa.williams@mclaren.org. And if you're tempted to throw that H in my name, it's not there. So Teresa without an H, .williams@mclaren.org.
Well, Teresa, thank you so much for taking your time out of your busy schedule to talk with us, because I think it's very important. People need to know that's right here in Flint, Michigan, and they might need it more than ever, and it's there for you. So we appreciate you, and thank you for listening, and thank you for being our guest today.
Oh my gosh, thank you guys both so much. I appreciated being able to talk to you.
All right, sounds good. Happy New Year to you. Hopefully good things in store.
Yes.
Well, thank you for everyone who's listening, because you can go back in our archives, listen to it all over again. You might not need us today, but maybe one day down the road, you're going to think, remember I heard about that hospitality house? Now I need it. Yep. You can look it up. And how can they find us, Jay, if they want to do that?
All they have to do is just look at your favorite podcasting app, whether it be Apple Music or Amazon or Google, and just look for Flint MTA or On the Road with the MTA.
And you can also go to our website, which is mtaflint.org, and go all the way down to the bottom, and you will see a little emblem that says On the Road. Just click on there.
Yep.
And thanks for listening. Happy New Year to all of you, and stay safe. Listen again next week.
Yep. You've been listening to On the Road with the MTA. For more information on our services and community outreach, visit us online anytime at www.mtaflint.org. And be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. The MTA, your community, your connection, your way.